blow it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
Different leagues.
Butt snap!
If I could describe the college football playoffs this season in a single phrase, it would be this: game-changing. A playoff that had everyone and their mom blurting out that it was going to be extremely predictable descended instead into complete mayhem by the semifinals. And no one saw the SEC collapse coming either. Yet at the end of the semifinals, that's exactly what we got. But before we can talk about the chip, we must complete the autopsy on the dead. So let's see what went down.
That was pathetic.
What a season for the Wave. Another conference championship that took you to the playoffs as the first team from the American Conference to make the dance. No one doubts that the Americans are the top of the group of 5 this season, but
Shameless on the option, and that's room service for Lacey. Touchdown, Rebels.
You ran into a very emotional, very pissed off, very tired of fucking around Ole Miss. For as fun and competitive as the American was, there was no way you were winning this game. Why? We saw this once already. As a matter of fact, this isn't even the right fucking game. This is the game. Thanks for coming and picking up your playoff check. Now go fuck off. Yes, you got your asses kicked in the first half on the road against Oregon. Yes, it was a beatdown pretty much from the start. But unlike Tulane laying down for the count, you managed to actually land a few punches. You even made some Oregon fans and players pissed off that they allowed you to come back at all. Was it ever really in doubt? Nah. But you gave Oregon a few bruises for the trouble, and frankly, that's the best we could have hoped for. Look out for the Dukes over the next few years. They're going to keep making noise, I think.
What the f*** was that?
Ha! After 3 decades of waiting for a national title shot, you completely cave in at the worst possible time. You had 100,000 red asses cheering you on at Kyle Field against a seemingly easy opponent in Miami, and you still couldn't do shit. It was just like your game against South Carolina, only the comeback you had in the second half against Cocky got lost in the mail. You can blame the 30-mile-an-hour winds all you want, but Miami went blow for blow and out-physicaled you when it counted the most. From number 3 in the nation to number 3 on my personal elimination list. Battered Aggie syndrome is officially an incurable disease that Mike Elko can't even cure. Back to the drawing board with you fuckers. Maybe figure out how to beat little brother first before trying to win that goddamn golden muffler, huh?
Boo! You stink!
Good God. You couldn't have cocked this up any fucking harder. You had your foot on the throats of the mighty elephants, and instead of putting a slug in their chest, the gun blew up in your face. The moment Xavier Robinson dropped a walk-in touchdown pass, it was all over. The Sooners quickly caved in and fell before the might of Alabama. They had a great defense, yeah, but everything blew up in their face going into halftime, and it just demoralized them. It's a fucking shame that such a good defense had absolutely zero fucking help on offense. Of all the teams that made the playoffs, you certainly were the one who never belonged. Gonna be a long offseason trying to relearn how to score points again. Get to work. God fucking damn it. I knew we were going to be having some troubles and struggles after the Indiana game, but Miami? Seriously? It's like we finally beat those fucking bastards up north and lost all of our drive. Bo Jackson rushed for 1,000 yards this year, great. Where the fuck did he go? All I saw was a kid getting mauled thanks to an O-line who couldn't stop Grandma from going into a golden corral, much less a defense that got hot at the best time. Julian Sand looked very green, and the only saving grace for the Buckeyes was, as usual, Jeremiah Smith. The defense also got torched by Beck and company, giving up the most points against any team all year. New Year's Eve is just cursed for Buckeye fans at this point forevermore. First Georgia in 22, and now this shit! It was still a good season with a lot of things to like, and we did win a national title last year, but those final 2 games are a massive shit stain on Brutus's underwear. At least we only lost to Indiana by 3.
And there was much rejoicing.
Aw, Cletus, do we have any more shine?
No, Billy. We done drank the last of it this morning.
Oh, hell. How much shine was that?
How many gallons are in an oil drum?
I don't know. Why?
There's 4 empty drums in the kitchen and 2 more in the bathroom.
Well, those 2 in the bathroom are for the hillbilly bathwater I'm trying to sell.
Billy, why are you selling your bathwater?
Because we need more money for NIL, you half-wit dumb fuck. Also because you and that damn carpetbagger blew up Bryant Denny. Don't you remember what happened in the Rose Bowl?
No.
Why am I not surprised? You can't even remember your mom's name.
You mean my sister?
You moron, your mom is your sister.
You tried your best, and you failed miserably. The lesson is, never try.
How do I put this lightly? You tortilla-tossing dipshits forgot Rule 0 of playing offense. Turnovers turn into losses. Sure, you weren't getting anywhere against this Oregon defense, but you didn't have to help them out, goddammit! Oregon wasn't even that great. Your defense did everything they could and only gave up 10 points from the Duck offense only. The other 13 were because of the fucking turnovers you committed. That's more than enough to beat any team in the damn country. If your offense had more brain cells than a store pack of tortillas, you would have won this game. But instead, you are one and fucking done. Sure, you've won the conference and you did more in one season than you've done generations, but to say this is disappointing is an understatement. Here's hoping Brandon Sorsby is the key to unlock a playoff run next year. Otherwise, you're fucked. Just like how the Buckeyes are cursed on New Year's Eve, it seems that the Bulldogs are cursed in New Orleans. In the first half, it seemed like you fuckers were running away with it against Ole Miss before the Rebs made some adjustments in the second half. Even then, despite being down late, you still had a chance to win, and with 9 minutes left on the clock, you did probably the dumbest fucking thing possible. On 4th and 2, you went for it from your own 30 and failed because of fucking course you did. Even Wilmington College could have scored on your defense right after that kick in the nuts. You deserve to be here, sure, no one's going to argue that, but the stupidity shown by Kirby here is something that Bulldog fans will hold against you for years to come. Also, how does it feel watching your old quarterback thrive in Miami?
I'm proud of you in a way. You've shown great conviction, strength, courage, all noble qualities.
Look, I'd clown you, but you don't deserve that. In fact, you deserve something I rarely give to SEC teams. You earned my respect, Rebels. With everything you were put through in the run-up to the postseason, and even during it, you still did incredibly well, winning 2 playoff games and leaving everything on the field in a heartbreaking loss against Miami. You didn't lose because of a certain someone publicly divorcing you with more drama than the fucking Kardashians. You didn't lose because of stupidity or because you just weren't good enough. You lost because Miami on that night was just that little bit better. Despite the loss, the Pete Golding era at Ole Miss is certainly off to a great start. Yes, I will still laugh at the SEC as a whole for being eliminated from the playoffs and playing poorly in the postseason as a conference. Yes, the fact that this loss was against Tank Conference is still funny. But I tip my cap to your Rebs. Good luck next year.
Let's go, let's win this
Fucking Christ, I feel like I'm giving a eulogy at a funeral after watching this. Oregon might have had a ton of issues with depth due to injuries and coaches that had already been hired by other schools and still being distracted, but fuck, dude! Even if Oregon was 100% healthy, there was nothing stopping the buzzsaw that was Indiana. In front of a hostile crowd, no less. In Atlanta. Sorry, I guess you need to call it Bloomington South now, eh? I laughed my fucking ass off watching Oregon being turned into Peking duck. Dan Lanning is quickly starting to remind me of a certain someone who also coached the Big Ten team, but could never get the big one. James Franklin. Too harsh? Just look at the last 2 years, and then look at James at Penn State, and don't tell me you don't see similarities. This was probably the last chance you guys had with the current core, and you fuckers blew it so hard, Puddles was getting roasted by Pat McAfee on the sidelines. My Oregon video might be 3,000 years old before it finally becomes out of date at this point. It's seriously that accurate. After a month of competition, we are down to the final 2. In a matchup that I'm sure everyone predicted back in August, it's the Big Ten versus, wait a minute, the ACC?
We are going to the championship game. Let's go.
Football is a game of momentum, as much as it is a game of inches. If you talk about Miami, you have to talk about momentum. Fuck, I wrote them off completely after their overtime loss to SMU back in October, thinking that Mario Cristobal couldn't get it done and Carson Beck is completely cooked. However, they proved me wrong. Horrifically wrong. So wrong, in fact, that I'm never going to call a team eliminated in my weekly recap videos next season regardless of the record. They got white hot to the point that it's changing how I think about future videos. That's how insane this shit is. It begins with Carson Beck. The $6 million Georgia transfer has only 2 switches. Absolute dog shit and absolute gem. The switch has been firmly on the gem side the entire playoff run. He rarely makes a mistake, and when he does, instead of caving in and collapsing like he did in games against SMU and Louisville, he overcomes the adversity and moves forward. Malachi Toney, in my mind, is going to win the Heisman next year. I have zero doubts about that. He's the most dynamic and dangerous wide receiver in college football and cannot be stopped. Even if you put 3 corners on this fucker, CJ Daniels and Keelan Marion have been absolutely lethal as secondary targets. Alright, so then just shut down the skies, right? Wrong. Mark Fletcher can put this offense on its back and carry them to the promised land if need be, just like he did against Texas A&M. The Hurricane defense is anchored by Akeem Mesidor and Reuben Bain Jr., who have combined for 19 sacks this year, while Jacoby Thomas and Keontae Scott control the skies in the secondary to great effect. Nobody believed in Miami coming into the playoffs, but you can only describe their run as unbelievable. If this is the long-awaited U 3.0, it's an intimidating as hell force to reckon with. There's just one problem. A certain team is even more intimidating. 3 years ago, Indiana looked like this. Terrible, with one of the worst overall records in all of FBS across their program history. They hadn't beaten Ohio State or won a bowl game in over 30 years. They hadn't won a conference title since the 60s, and Lee Corso was the only relevant tie to football the school had. Football season was just a sideshow while everyone else awaited basketball. Then, Kurt Signetti was hired and said those immortal words.
Who? It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
And from that moment on, Indiana football was on the warpath. Unlike Miami, who has been inconsistent in their wins, Indiana has consistently been winning, and winning in the face of adversity too. Many thought when we saw them win close games against teams like Penn State and Iowa, who we all looked at as questionable, it was only a matter of time before Cinderella's slipper would shatter. The thing is that Indiana isn't Cinderella. They're more like Queen Elizabeth II. Spent years thinking they would never be the monarch, and now suddenly they're the monarch themselves. A team filled with nobodies and cast-outs that is now 60 minutes from college football immortality. A team filled with guys like D'Angelo Pons, Lewis Moore, Aiden Fisher, Isaiah Jones, Roman Hemby, Kalon Black, Charlie Becker, Omar Cooper Jr., Elijah Surratt, and led by Indiana's first ever Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza. 3 of those players had 0 stars coming out of high school. And as a matter of fact, Fernando Mendoza is a native of the city of Miami, growing up there. This makes this national championship a homecoming for him of sorts. They are a team mostly filled with nobodies, yet they broke the mold. After the last 2 years of work, Curt Cignetti no longer needs people to Google search his name. We all know him by now. He wins games. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? Any idea that I had that Miami was going to win went out the window once I saw Indiana put the Ducks' head on a pike and marched it out of Atlanta like it was the fucking French Revolution. I get Indiana winning by 2 touchdowns at most. It really shouldn't be a blowout, but then again, I'm not an expert. And Mo may or may not have thrown my ass on the couch if I picked Miami, so